Hi, my name is Stephen Barrington. I'm the Director of Business Services for Capital Area Workforce Development Board. Today we are having a conversation on building a veteran-friendly environment. We have panelists here. We have one from Tampa, Florida, and thank you so much, Chris Jadick, Executive Director of Enable America. We also have two others with us in the studio today. Dr. Donohue, who's the Medical Director with Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. And we also have Jamie Rufolo, who is the Director of AT&T Global Service Delivery. She's also the National President of the 501c3 AT&T Veterans Employee Resource Group. Thank you guys for being here. As we get started, what we want to do is actually just have you speak just for a quick second, a little bit more expanding your role. Dr. Donohue.
Well, thanks, Stephen. I'm Hugh Donohue. As you said, I'm a medical director for Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I'm also an Army veteran myself, a retired colonel after 23 years of service. I've been retired now for about 20 years. In my military experience, I had combat arms as well as medical corps experience, and I think it has served as a significant underpinning for the knowledge, skills, and abilities that I apply in my work today. I'm also the chairman of the Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina Veterans Employee Network, which is a relatively new network that has stood up in the past 15 months or so. And we're developing our network and also leveraging our knowledge, skills, and abilities, if you will, to help Blue Cross reach out to the veterans here in North Carolina, as well as take steps to increase the abilities of our veterans employed in Blue Cross to contribute to carrying out the goals and objectives of Blue Cross.
Thank you very much. Jamie.
Yes, hi, my name is Jamie Rufolo, and I'm based here in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've been with AT&T for 16 years, and I'm part of our global service delivery organization. But my passion is the fact that I'm involved with our resource group for veterans and military families called AT&T Veterans. And I serve as the national president. We have approximately 7,000 members of this organization, 35 chapters across the country, and a legacy of 30 years that we've been in place. So I'm also a military spouse, and my husband is an active duty officer in the Army. So I'm happy to be here today and happy to give my perspective.
Thank you very much. Now, Chris, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Thanks. Well, I'm Chris Jadick. I'm Executive Director of Enable America. We're a nonprofit devoted to improving employment opportunities for all people with disabilities. Increasingly, that does mean our disabled veteran and wounded warrior population. We've been founded, really been in operation since 2002. And increasingly, over the past 5 or 6 years, more and more of our efforts have turned toward that disabled veteran population. So we engage with employers, and we are bridge builders between the population we serve, people with disabilities, and the employers who want to hire them, creating opportunities for engagement and increased employment.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, we do want to thank, this would not be possible without the Infusion Group, and we want to say thank you to the Infusion Group for bringing the panelists together and for offering this conversation up. The panel will address some of the challenges facing employers specific to veteran attraction, veteran hiring, veteran retention, and sustaining high performance. As part of the conversation, the leaders here, the business and community leaders, will showcase some of the leading practices that are available for you to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some of the questions that we have. One of the challenges that we continue to hear at the workforce development arena in that space is, how do we translate the veterans' resumes to that of, matching the veterans' resumes to that of the job descriptions. So the question is, how have you been able to break the code for matching the veteran resumes to that of the job requirements via the job descriptions? Jamie.
Well, first I would say it is not a perfect recipe, and there will be some skills and some MOSs that just do not translate to the civilian workplace. So there is a challenge there, but we do our best to look at the skills that the veterans coming in have had, and also their aptitude. That's a big part of this, is that they have leadership skills. They've managed many. They've worked with financial budgets. They've had to really utilize a lot of resources, training that they've had to do things that they may not take credit for. They may tell us what their job function was. They may say, you know, what they did very quickly, but they don't realize the value and the breadth of the scope of the skills that they really possess. So a lot of what we do at AT&T in our veteran hiring is we help guide and mentor and give them that confidence, that information about what they should be putting onto their resume, giving themselves a pat on the back for having that increased scope, training, and responsibility. So we don't actually look for a perfect match of what they've done and what they can do here. We look for the aptitude, the personality, the drive, and the interest to make a difference here. And we can take care of the training. We know that they can do that part well.
Thank you very much. Dr. Donohue.
Thanks, Stephen. I think, Jamie, you did a wonderful overview of efforts that AT&T is doing. I think, in summary, I'd like to say that we hope to emulate you at some point in the future. Your point is well taken, too, that a lot of the opportunities that the skill sets that the folks who are coming out of the military have are directly transferable. In fact, my research was that over 80% of military occupational specialties, which are the MOSs you referred to, have a direct transfer into the civilian environment. So in addition to having the skills already, I think, as Jamie mentioned, the ability of the military soon-to-be veteran or the actual veteran to be able to articulate or be able to express, you know, their not only their skill sets but their experiences and how that actually can be captured in putting people into junior leadership positions and technical positions, especially in, say, information technology. The Geeks with Guns, for example, over in Iraq had done some excellent work that literally transfers into a big data environment, so they can make contributions immediately. At Blue Cross, we are working, I think, as a veteran population. We've identified one of our goals is to actively help our Human Resources Department in the recruiting of veterans. They have taken very positive steps to develop programs to deliberately reach out to the veteran population. There is active work with the North Carolina National Guard in their employee transition days to be able to help reservists and guards people to take their resumes and be able to make sure that the points that they have captured really are something that a relatively inexperienced human resources talent acquisition specialist would be able to interpret and find opportunities within the organization, not just the positions that are being advertised, but those that they may have an aptitude for. So we try to create a job bank, if you will. It's a very nascent or a very beginning activity, but you know, we hope to be able to build on that so that we can actively involve our recruiting efforts in North Carolina, as well as in our outreach to the community, include activities with the Guard, with the active duty at Camp Lejeune and Fort Bragg, to be able to help prepare young military folks who are beginning that transition to civilian life to be able to present themselves in the most positive way.
Dr. Donohue, thank you for that. Chris.
Yes, thank you. I certainly agree with the excellent observations that have been made so far, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. Adding on to that, I would like to say that it's very important, even though there are skills that are transferable, that human resource managers who we deal with in the employment workforce are under tremendous pressure to not just hire veterans and other people with disabilities, but also find the right skill set so that the employees walk in and can do the job. And while skills are transferable, I think it's equally important that we engage with the veteran population to broaden their perspective on what the opportunities are that are out there. It's not enough to have the employers adapt what they need to the veteran population, but a lot of times you have men and women who are coming out of the military who are now looking at really a change in life for themselves. And a lot of times it's not of their own choosing. Many of them foresaw a lifetime career in the military, and now suddenly they have to switch gears very quickly. And while they have transferable skills, they also may need additional skills and work sets. So one of the things Enable America does with our employee mentoring days is we open the eyes of the veterans who are more used to that military environment to what the civilian workforce is like, because it is a bridge in which people have to meet in the middle. Not enough that the employer reach out to that veteran population, but the veteran also has to be engaged with what the opportunities are. So while they may have very many transferable skills, specifically when it comes to IT, a lot of times there's additional certification that needs to come or some additional training or education. What we need to do is get that veteran population engaged with what the civilian workforce needs, and then encourage them to continue with that education or whatever it is that they need to help the employer. We find through this approach, the employer is going to be more engaged and more eager to hire that person who, like you say, has a good attitude, really wants to pursue that, and really knows what they want to do. So part of this puzzle is also engaging with the veterans so that they understand what the civilian opportunities are, and they reach out themselves to take those opportunities.
Thank you very much. Great advice from all three of you. I will say that over the next year in North Carolina alone, an estimated 26,000 new vets will be entering the workforce, and that's a lot. That's significant, and this will help tremendously what you spoke of in each of the different ways. We just talked about the matching itself, from the description, or the veteran's resume, to that of the job description, that matching piece. There's still many employers. How do they do that? And so the question really is, does military recruiting require changes to job and analyst processes and job description writing that focus on core competencies and transferable skills? Dr. Donohue.
Well, that's interesting. You should ask that question, Stephen. Talking with our talent acquisition folks, they are becoming more enthusiastic about filling gaps in the process that we have at Blue Cross. For example, there was a recent Boots to Suits forum that occurred this week, and several of our talent acquisition folks came back very enthusiastic and with their, as they described it, their eyes open about the potential of the veteran candidates coming, but also recognizing that there needs to be more of an effort on the part of the human resources talent acquisition folks to be more aware of the need to meet them halfway, as you and Chris mentioned. One of the points that one of our talent acquisition folks mentioned was that she wants to encourage Blue Cross to take a hard look at our job descriptions, to be able to rewrite them in ways that perhaps are more neutral, so that more people will take a look at the positions that are being made available and have a better idea that the skills they have might have a direct application. Blue Cross is, some people view it as an insurance organization, so that people with a facility working with word transfer, knowledge transfer may be what we're looking for, but that's not necessarily the case. There are a lot of structural positions that need to be filled to be able to make a large organization function effectively, and team leaders, people capable of managing across disciplines, and these are the types of things that our talent acquisition folks are now becoming aware that we need to do a far better job putting down in our job descriptions, a broader description, if you will, of what it is that the ideal candidate would be able to bring to that position.
Thank you very much. Chris.
One thing I would encourage employers to think about, especially in the Human Resources Department, is to bring on somebody with military experience in your HR department. There's nothing like peer mentorship to help bridge that gap. Well, one of the things that Enable America is very proud of is our Vet Connect program, which we began back in 2006, working with U.S. SOCOM here in the Tampa MacDill Air Force Base area. And essentially what we did was we were dedicated to helping wounded warriors reacclimate to civilian life or return to active duty. So the goal was to improve the recovery outcome of wounded warriors by pairing them with similarly wounded peer mentors who have completed or also completing the recovery process. Well, to the same extent in the HR field, if you've got somebody who's been military, there's nothing like somebody talking military to military. I mean, that's a brethren and a fraternity and a bond that will never be broken. Not only can that mentor within the organization itself, as an extension of the HR department, help HR understand the skills and capabilities that are out there in the veteran population, but that person can also reach out to that population, and the veteran is going to see that company as a better place to work. Hey, this place gets me. This guy gets me. They've got one of my own working within the HR department too. If you can do that, if you're willing to make that commitment as a company and take on a veteran who has the skills to be a leader in your HR department and use them as an extension of your recruitment effort, that peer-to-peer relationship that you're going to build not only is going to help you reach out to the veteran population and hire the people you want, but it's also going to help your entire organization better understand the capabilities of what these men and women can bring to the workplace.
Thank you.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes. Jamie.
Well, you stole my show, because that would be my recommendation as well. At AT&T, we have a military talent attraction manager, and we've had that in place for some time. And that is really to do that exact thing, to focus on looking at having a mentor who has been there, walked in their shoes, knows exactly what the lifestyle is, the challenges of transitioning, and can connect with them and connect them with other employees. So the Employee Resource Group, AT&T Veterans, is also very a part of this. We have many different jobs all across the business units of the company, spanning many different capabilities, responsibilities, but we all have one thing in common. We're military family members, spouses, parents, have children serving, we've served ourselves. Some are still actively serving as reservists or National Guard, and they can give this advisorship to those that are looking to come on board. Is this really for me? Will I be comfortable? Will I feel included? Will I be understood? And I think that's one of the most powerful things, that when we're recruiting veterans and talking with them, that they feel very passionately about, that they're not just entering a new world. They're going somewhere that's comfortable, that there's others like them, that they can assimilate with, and have relationships with, that were very similar to the family type of structure that the military has for you, where you can count on each other. They can help you through situations, mentor you, assist in career progression. So having that military talent attraction manager that's dedicated, not only to help those that are looking, but also to train and work throughout the HR departments. We have hundreds of HR staffing individuals who do not understand the military lifestyle background skills that need training on this. So that one person is a conduit throughout our HR workforce to make sure that business units they're advocating for understand this and can really assimilate that into their groups for the leadership and the skills that they provide, and that diversity component. The other thing that I would also mention is that we have, as part of the 100,000 Jobs initiative that AT&T is, very much a part of in hiring veterans, committing as a corporation to do that, is the MTX, which is the Military Talent Exchange. And if you were to Google anything AT&T military related, you'll find this Military Talent Exchange where their resumes can be posted. If we can't find a match for that person, we've guided them, we've given them references, and we can't find a match, we will give them to another company participating in this talent exchange, to which there's a few hundred at this point. So that's another way that we can help bridge to other companies and to other corporations and businesses willing to share the detail for jobs and to really advocate for that veteran.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. So the first two questions, we really focused on the attraction. Now, congratulations, you've hired a veteran. And what we want to talk about now is your onboarding process. Your onboarding process, is there a practice that creates or hinders the inclusive environment for veterans? Chris.
I think it's unique to the individual, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer to that question. Some people, and it's like anybody else in the population, are going to assimilate and really work and blend in with your workplace very quickly. But I think you have to be cognizant of those who probably have great potential but may take a little bit longer. So the traditional 30-day probationary period or 90-day probationary period may not be appropriate necessarily. Some organizations, I think we all struggle with this, with the onboarding process. We probably have a process in place, and we have an orientation that might last a day. The first day we walk a person around, and then we set them up off and running. And we know it's going to be slow going at first, but we expect them to pick up and go with it. I think you need to have more of a long-term type plan. And you certainly, for all employees, need to have a good orientation process in place, whether that is, within a couple of days, a week, or whatever. I think it needs to be a phased-in approach in which they feel like it's not just one day you're going to meet everybody and, hey, we're here for you, and here's your desk and your computer, and go to it. You got to be a little more detailed, and you got to make sure that you are routinely checking in with the veteran, more so maybe than you did somebody who, let's say you hire somebody in accounting and they've been an accountant for 15 years, and so, yeah, they get it. They're going to run with it. And even if it's not apparent that that person is not doing well, you may say, oh, yeah, Joe, the new guy we hired, is doing perfectly fine. We don't have to worry about him. Make it an effort over the first month or 60 days. Every week you're going to have a check-in period. If you have that peer mentor on your HR staff, that person can either set aside some meeting time, take them out to lunch, make sure you stay with that. And until that peer mentor signs off, whether it's the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day mark or whatever, don't feel that the person has processed successfully and completed through your orientation. So as I said, every individual is different, and there's no one-size-fits-all. But I do think you need to take a little extra care and time and consideration with the veteran population in order to set them up for success.
Thank you very much for that. Jamie?
In this space, I would say that there's nothing that fits this better than the personal stories and connection with other employees that care about you, and it's really not their job responsibility to reach out to you. They're doing it because they understand and they've been in that situation themselves when they onboarded. So AT&T really relies on this AT&T Veterans organization, which is completely voluntarily self-run with the chapters that we have in each state. So as somebody comes on board, right away they will be communicated to that there is an organization. We have several employee groups like this. Some corporations call them affinity groups or employee networks, and this is something that's really compelling for many different reasons. Those who have disabilities, those who have different ethnic backgrounds, those who just want to mentor and learn career skills. So there's a lot of groups like this in the company. This one will appeal to them because it's a bit different. It's here so that they can adjust. It's here so that they can say, well, what would you do in this situation? You've been where I have, and you know what this is like. So it really is something that we find is not a practice that we have individuals who are enforcing it that have never walked in those shoes and never been in that situation themselves. And so I'm happy that this is something that our employees take upon themselves. And we have chapter meetings, we have chapter functions in the cities that we operate these groups in, and they're very involved in the community. So it's not just what you're doing at work and how you're being effective in the workplace. It's what you're doing outside in the community to benefit military families, to stay connected to the life you knew, and to show that AT&T not only takes care of their own, but they take care of those who aren't even a part of AT&T, but are serving this country still. So we also have another group that's called AT&T Pioneers, and this is an organization that is much larger than our veterans group. They're about 287,000 strong in members, and this is retirees of the AT&T companies, the Ma Bell phone companies you may know of the past, and this is a huge, strong opportunity for people to be engaged once they leave our workplace too, with military, with other service-oriented organizations. So that's something that as employees we really lean on as well for that mentorship, connection in the community, and involvement for these new individuals.
Thank you. Dr. Donohue.
Well, thanks, Stephen. I think that we are actually presenting ourselves as a relatively newcomer to the employment of our veterans workforce. I've already received many ideas from Jamie here that I'm going to be taking back to Blue Cross. But one of the things we are very happy to do is, as the onboarding process identifies veterans, even those who are coming in who have not been deliberately hired as a veteran effort, the individual is approached by the Veterans Network identified as a support group, and then there is a reach out to make sure that they have somebody of a similar background to be able to help them transition into the workforce. And so far it's shown a great deal of promise.
Great. Thank you all very much for that. So we've talked about the attraction, the recruitment piece, onboarding. Let's talk a little bit about retention for a quick minute. How can leaders engage these talented individuals to bring out their very best to sustain performance? Jamie.
So in this realm, as we progress and we stay at the company, one thing that we really track in our veteran hires is their retention. And we find if we compare veteran hires to non-veteran hires, there's a 6% retention percentage that is greater. They do have a much different commitment to the job, to the mission. They're used to having an assignment, sticking with it, finding a way through, and not just giving up and quitting because it's just not who they are. It's not what they've been trained to do. And that's something we can really take advantage of and really bring into our workforce, not only in their personal skills, but their effect on others. So I work in a business unit where there's no one who has military background whatsoever. And I do a job of educating those around me, but I know that others with military families and background are doing that same effort within the company to explain and to operate in a certain way that really has an effect on others. So, so retention is very important, and connection and the interest that we have in not only them coming into a job and staying there, but knowing they have a career path to come. So actually this is one of the areas that we're trying to do a lot of work in for the next year, which is to build mentorship circles. So you don't have to be a veteran to mentor a veteran. You could be a business leader, an AT&T, an officer that just has a heart for helping the veterans proceed and succeed in the company. So, so this is the idea of mentorship circles, and this is something through our employee resource group we're really advocating for, to build and bridge the career progression opportunities that they may have, and have insight into how they could really step into those roles and have an advocate for them in the company.
Thank you. Dr. Donohue.
Well, the certainly very comprehensive program at AT&T, and happy to hear that. What we have put in place or laid the groundwork for with our veteran population, primarily through the employee network, is a buddy program and a leadership development and mentoring program with some of the more experienced members of the network making themselves available to coach, guide, and mentor younger members or people lower, if you will, on the employment ladder, to prepare them for positions of additional responsibility should they wish to do that. And quite a few do. As Jamie mentioned, the work ethic that military veterans bring to their work is one that many people would do well to emulate. And it is not something that is unique to the military, but I think it's something that's part of the culture that can be transferable into a situation to allow an individual to be primed for success in whatever they wish to do.
Thank you very much. Chris.
What Enable America always emphasizes when we place people for employment is we're not just looking to get people jobs, we're looking to find them careers. And certainly that's important as we reach out to the veteran population. You come from and certainly in which the military is as much family as it is a career or a job. And so the new path that a person with a disability or a disabled veteran or wounded warrior is taking has to emulate some of those things that they may have had in the military and are lost. And so just like every employee, you want to know what your career path is. Is there a way forward? Is there a family here? Is there a future path for my development? All good organizations know that in retaining employees, that's critical to your best employees, even more so with the veteran population. So the mentoring programs that have been mentioned before, the buddy system, absolutely, it's a critical part of it. But culturally, and from a 50,000-foot view level, organizations need to make sure that they communicate with their employees that you're valued and there's a future for you here, and you're really engaged in a very critical and important mission. Sometimes we get so caught up in our jobs day in, day out, it's easy to kind of overlook the very important work that each of us do. But your career, your job is really a reflection of who you are as a person. And the identity that people with the military have is probably stronger than almost any occupation that I can think of. And so many of those folks are looking for something similar in their career path. If they don't find that in their new employment, they're going to feel unfulfilled, and that's going to cause that restless desire to think, you know what, I need to go find something else. What you need to do is feed their need for that, and by which you can increase your retention levels.
Chris, thank you for that, and I want to stay on the culture that you brought up, and really speak about the culture from the top level down within your organization, and how have you been able to manage the organizational transformation throughout the organization, starting with the top, but how, as it relates to the culture and the opportunities for bringing the veterans in a way that you have not done before, or in starting a program for many companies who want to learn how to do this. What is your advice on how to manage organizational transformation? Dr. Donohue.
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question, Stephen, because we're in the process of transforming the organization now, recognizing that there are new challenges, not only on the horizon, but literally on our doorstep, that we need to be able to have a motivated and capable workforce to address them. The environment is established literally from the top, that if with a solid, committed senior executive management team who understand that what got us to this point in our organizational history is not going to be sufficient to have us continue to be successful in what we want to do, which is our self-avowed goal is to improve the health and the well-being of the people of North Carolina in the area in which we can make a difference. So we have made a commitment to ourselves and to North Carolina to do everything in our power to make that difference. And every day in our communications, in the work that is done, in the encouragement from senior management through directors to the frontline workers, is a constant reaffirmation of what can we do to help you do your job better, to take care of the people who call in, who ask us for our assistance in taking care of their health care needs. And every day is an opportunity, and every day is an opportunity for management to support frontline people to be able to serve as ambassadors for Blue Cross to our customers, to our members, to the people who need the coordination of their healthcare needs with their physicians, with their hospitals, with their clinics, and the opportunity to be able to have the funding for that. Now, it oftentimes is a situation where we are dealing with those folks at very stressful times. So what we try to do is provide the support for frontline people so that they recognize that they are not only ambassadors, but they have an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. And we look for evidence, opportunities to be able to advertise those success stories throughout the rest of the organization as a way to encourage not only an individual the next time they have an encounter to be able to absorb those lessons and to apply them rather, but also to show that we are an organization that cares very much about each individual being successful in their position. Now, taking that culture, and I think the folks who come in from the military get it. They understand that. You know, they recognize that they had committed themselves to a career of service, and what Blue Cross is about is being an organization dedicated to service. So being able to take that experience and show folks who have come in from the military that they have the skills, they have the motivation to be able to succeed and build on that, that's a big part of what we're trying to do with our workforce.
Thank you for that. Great information. Chris.
Two quick points I'd like to make here. First is, as previously mentioned, there's no question the message has to come from executive leadership. It has to come from the top, and it has to be articulated continually. There are so many directives and mandates that employees must work under. If this is indeed to be something that is important to the organization, then it needs to be emphasized by the people at the very top. Second, we talk a lot about organizational transformation. I like the term organizational evolution. We're evolving, essentially. The idea of transformation, while certainly true, organizations are always changing, but that can be a little bit, I won't say frightening or intimidating to other employees by saying, you know, we're going to have to change the way we do things to accommodate this population. Well, the population is really not different. They have a different set of skills, and they come from a different perspective. But organizations certainly are not going to change for any particular population. But we are going to evolve to become a better workplace, to become a more engaged workplace, to really harness the skills of this talented workforce that we're trying to tap into. So I think the message needs to be, as part of our organizational evolvement, these are the steps that we need to take to reach this population and make us a stronger organization. That's a message that I think the entire workforce can embrace, and ultimately it sets you up for better success.
Thank you very much. Great points. Jamie.
I think in talking about the culture of an organization, one thing that we have that's been very helpful in the advocacy for this is we have great role models. So within our leadership executive team, we have those that have formerly served, and it's not a secret. It's well known. They advocate for veterans on very specific times of the year that are important to us as military families. They make sure and make it a point to have this diversity component discussed, talked about, appreciated, and we can see in their background that this company has brought them into leadership roles here because of their service and because of their experience and the breadth of their leadership skills and training, which is extensive in the military. And so it's not just something we're saying, it's something we're doing, and we can see it and believe that. And so it is a self-identification process. So you talked about, you may have many veterans within Blue Cross that you don't even know about because they have not self-identified yet. And that is strictly up to the employee if they want to be associated and share that experience, or if they want to keep that confidentially to themselves. So, truly it's not that everyone who served wants to note that and wants to have that as part of who they are and their identity. And it's changed a lot over the years. I mentioned we've been around for 30 years. In the beginning, I don't think that it was something that many veterans would really self-identify, explain, or say, but when they found each other, they found great strength in each other in bonds with that. So beyond the role model piece, I would say the culture of the organization and the fact that it's okay and that you should be proud of where you come from and what you've experienced. And one thing that's been hard is learning that the word veteran is not always a positive to people. Some people who've been in the military don't believe they're a veteran because they've only been in a couple years or they never served in combat. So, speaking as someone with military service or military families is a good way to brand it differently, uniquely, that may appeal to others as part of the inclusive culture, just changing the wording of it, because sometimes veteran can make people think I'm not worthy of that title. I didn't do as much as someone who's been in 30 years, 20 years. When we say someone's a veteran of something, it usually means a significant amount of time and energy spent. But no matter if it was a month or 6 months or 2 years, you serve this country, and that's important to our company and important to be proud of. And so, so just another piece that I would say within our culture that we try to be sensitive to not only, and it's hard. I lead an organization called AT&T Veterans. We've been called that for a very long time. But as you're starting out new groups, new organizations, new networks, and companies that don't have that, you might consider making it more approachable to not only the veteran, but families of those who care about them.
Thank you very much. We have time for one more question. And so what we're going to do with this question, and I really like the organization evolution, because as companies are looking at this video, and as HR folks and leaders are looking at this video, they're looking at the evolution of their organization itself. I think that's extremely valuable. They've heard a lot of great best practices here thus far. One other thing that would also be helpful for them, and I'm going to start with you, Chris, what are the learnings that you experience, or that one experience as they move through this journey to include veterans within their organization?
Well, it's a difficult question because there's so many instances in which there have been unique experiences. I would just emphasize as we close here, we talk about being bridge builders and trying to reach a population and reach across. This may not answer your question directly, but just a point I want to make as we close here. Very important for us to understand that we're not trying to get one side to cross over to the other. Enable America often characterizes ourselves as bridge builders, but that implies that it's the employer who has to reach into the veteran organization or the veteran who has to cross over the bridge. I think we are all better served culturally and moving forward if we have a better understanding and we work to more understand or appreciate what the other side's perspective certainly is. The military population certainly needs help in engaging with the civilian workforce. That's what we try to do. And employers should recognize that as well. So as we reach out and we say we're building bridges, understand we're really trying to reach our hands together and come together somewhere in the middle. So sorry if that doesn't answer your question directly, but I really think that's an important point to make as we close up here today.
No, Chris, thank you for that. That was very valuable. Jamie?
I would say something that we've now changed our focus to is the female veteran and also spouses of veterans. Obviously, I am one and I have a successful story. I hadn't shared this prior, but I didn't come in as a military spouse. Situations change. People decide later in their career they want to join the active duty guard or reserve role, or they marry into a military family like myself and they find themselves in the midst of that transition that they need some guidance around as they go through their career. So I personally have been supported through 7 relocations that I've had to make over my career, and that speaks to itself that the company is willing to work with other components of the military family and other stresses that occur. And when we talk about the female veteran, there's different branding that you'd want to use. I mentioned the wording of veteran and changing that to be more military service oriented or military background or military families is very appealing, but also in your marketing. So online, on websites, there is a great opportunity for showing testimonials, for showing pictures, for having personal stories of employees that really explains their passion, their impact. It's one thing to hear from an HR department that they have a policy or that they're trying, but to hear from someone personally affected in their life is something to really take charge of. And most anyone who's been affected in a positive way in the company and has felt supported is more than happy to share that story. So really I would encourage you to take advantage of lifting up those individuals in the company to allow them the chance to explain how they have seen their experience be well cared for. And then on the spouses situation, that's another thing you can find on our websites, but just the fact that we're really trying to reach out and show with a company that expands outside of North Carolina to almost every state and many countries, that we can be transferable in our roles, that you don't have to be in one place. If you find yourself in a military family and you need to relocate, that you have that type of option. And reaching out to females of the family, the military family, is actually quite important. They are usually very involved in helping their service member, whether it's a female or male service member, in choosing their career, in doing the research and looking online, and different media venues will appeal to them. So don't only think of veteran magazines, veteran literature, veteran related. Also think about things that the family might be interested in seeing, because they are great encouragers and supporters to that career and place within the workplace ahead.
Thank you very much. Dr. Donohue.
Very interesting stories, Jamie. Thank you. And Chris, I think you got me thinking about this as well. In the creation of employee networks, we recognize too that this is an effort by Blue Cross to deliberately help individuals to bond and to share. And there's also a recognition that people have linkages to more than one interest group. We have people in the Veterans Network who are members of the Young Professionals Network, who are members of the I'm blocking on the actual term, our GBEN, our Golden Blues network of older employees, but people who work from home. And when we sign up for an employee network, we're brought to a page where all of the network applications are listed. You just basically check the boxes. So I found myself signing up for more than just the Veterans Network when I signed up for it. But there's also a deliberate effort on the part of the organization to help people bond across areas of interest. And this becomes an opportunity for people to fertilize their interests, to be able to see that they have commonality with people across all different disciplines in the organization. And that helps build a cohesive organization and gives people an opportunity to see that the goals that they want to further are shared by people, not just in the areas that they initially thought that was their interest area, but across many other areas that they may have only had a passing interest in. I'm happy to say that half of the leadership of our Veterans Network are spouses and former women veterans, so that we are able, I think, even from the get-go, to be able to show that the veteran component of Blue Cross spans the entire organization. It's not the image of the rifle-bearing, helmet-toting, tall man in khaki or olive drab, but they're people who man communications networks, as well as sit there and hold the family together while Dad's deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan. So thank your husband for his service, and thank you for the work you do.
Thank you very much. And what we want to do is before we say thank you to our panelists, again, want to just highlight a few of the learnings that we had today specific to the talent attraction, recruitment, onboarding, retention, organizational transformation / organizational evolution. And then what were some of the best learnings that our panelists could provide? This was just a snippet of a start to a great conversation related to how do we build a veteran-friendly environment in the workplace. And what we want to do is say thank you very much to the panelists, each of you. We also want to say thank you to the Infusion group for, again, making this possible, this conversation possible. And we want to thank our veterans for the service, the tremendous service and selfless service that they provide to our country. Thank you.